Brand New Day has finally come out after 5 years of me waiting very patiently. I was so excited for this movie. I remember saying to my friend at the cinemas that I don't think I've been more excited for a film since, well, No Way Home. I've watched No Way Home 5 or 6 times since it came out. It's become a movie that I've grown very fond of. The more I've watched it, truth be told, it's one of my favorites. Every single time I revisit it, I just connect, more and more to Peter Parker's arc in that movie. So naturally, the excitement and anticipation was quite high going into the first Spider-Man 4. So what did I think? Nah, I'm kidding. I am so happy to say that I was very satisfied with this movie. I mean, right off the bat, this is a truly comic book accurate Spider-Man movie. This is the saddest and most broke Peter Parker we've gotten. It's funny because a lot of people always used to complain about how Tom Holland's Peter Parker wasn't a real Spider-Man because he hasn't dealt with the same challenges that Tom or Tobey has. Here we are in 2026 with this Peter suffering probably the most out of all of them. I mean, this guy has no friends, no family, no money, and no one knows who he even is. Naturally, this means it feels very different tonally from the Holland trilogy. Brand New Day is like 2022's The Batman to Homecoming Batman and Robin. I've seen a lot of people say that the effectiveness of Brand New Day's atmosphere and tone detracts from the Home trilogy and makes those movies look worse in comparison. I thoroughly disagree with this. I think the transition from the high school action comedy-esque formula into Brand New Day is what makes Brand New Day hit so much harder. That contrast. And it makes the arc Tom Holland goes on throughout his MCU lifetime more heartbreaking. From a purely visual standpoint, this is my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie though. New York not only looks its most interesting here, but functions its best as well. They implement what I really liked about James Gunn's Superman, giving us a true populated comic book New York where I actually buy that this is the same New York that the Avengers and all these other heroes live in, right? Throughout the movie, Peter goes around doing all his side quests and he actually goes to other heroes for help. I think we've become just so accustomed to watching these movies and having to suspend disbelief of, why isn't this hero helping out if there's such a massive fucking catastrophe going on, right? I noticed that especially in Born Again Season 2, but that's a separate topic. It really did annoy me though. Speaking of Daredevil, Peter and Frank Castle was the absolute highlight of this movie. We should have got this pairing so long ago. I had some doubts about Punisher's inclusion in this movie due to his, usual maturity and subject matter, but no, they write him in a way that it does feel believable that this is the same guy from the Netflix show. He's the same gritty, angry old man, but when you pair him up with a character like Spider-Man, we start to see such a more heartfelt and lighter side to him. I hope Frank is in every single Spider-Man movie from now on. He was genuinely that good. My favorite part of the movie, I think. Following on, I liked how every single hero Peter interacts with doesn't detract from Peter as the leading protagonist. As much as I adore the Home trilogy as more than most people, it did always feel like Peter is constantly leaning on another older, more experienced mentor character, which made Peter feel less independent and stand alone. Brand New Day fixes that, where whenever Peter, goes for help and meets with other heroes, it still feels like he's leading the story. He feels like a detective getting clues. Another surprise standout was the relationship between Peter and Lisa Collins-Zayas' character. They had this really adorable and heartfelt relationship and connection that I really enjoyed. The swinging and action is at its best here. You can clearly tell they took a lot of inspiration from the Insomniac games, especially with the fight choreography. It's really fun to see it translated over into live action, right? Especially since that game is very fitting of the tone and Spider-Man this movie's trying to create. We can't talk about this movie without talking about how it handled MJ and Ned, where I think they handled No Way Home's ending in the best possible way, where it doesn't undo the events of that movie, but it leaves enough room for their relationships to regrow and redevelop. Peter basically regains most of the strength of the relationships he can possibly regain based on the circumstances and not undoing the spell, right? I'm happy with it, right? And as far as flaws goes, this movie doesn't have too many, but I had a few issues worth mentioning. Starters, I think out of all Tom Holland's Spider-Man's main antagonists, Jean Grey is my least favorite, right? If I'm being completely honest, I haven't actually watched the X-Men movies yet. But when critiquing this movie purely based by its own merits, I think she didn't really work that well for me, especially in the third act. The movie was trying to treat her more like a protagonist than a villain, which it actively detracted from the focus on Peter. We get one of these movies every few years. I don't want any of them to be any sort of X-Men setup story. I see what they were going for though, where she mirrors a lot of what Peter is going through with loneliness and grief. Tom Holland and Sadie Sink do work well together, but Tom Holland seems to have chemistry with everyone, so classic Spider-Man. I really want Tom Holland's Spider-Man to go against someone he has an actual personal established connection to. Tobey had Doc Ock, Harry, and Norman Osborn. Andrew had Kurt Connors and Harry Osborn. Whilst I do not want them to do Ned Leeds as Hobgoblin, I hope they set something up where we get a true personal antagonist to this Spidey, right? It makes me sad that we aren't going to see him against Doctor Doom and Doomsday, because that's an example of something that could be interesting. Hopefully Secret Wars though. If they don't, that is ridiculous. they'll do it. Yeah, but the third act of Brand New Day was the weakest part of the movie for me. I mean, we've seen the exact same third act before last year in Thunderbolts. It is quite literally specifically the same, you know, Jean, you were not alone. Bob, you were not alone. I was super excited for Tremel Tillman to be in this movie too, and I think that they wasted him a little bit with Bill Metzger being a pretty underwhelming twist villain. Maybe I associate him too much with Seth Milchick, but I caught on to that twist way too soon. Reportedly, he's coming back for future X-Men projects though, so hopefully he gets to do a bit more in those movies. I just want Severance season 3 so bad. Please, let's speed that up. Anyway, overall though, I was very satisfied with this movie. I want to go see it again and again. I'm buying that on Blu-ray as soon as it comes out. So as of now, I'd give Brand New Day a strong 8 out of 10. Let me know what you thought down below.